What if I told you that the single most powerful thing you could do today to keep yourself from falling, and more powerful than any balance gadget, any pair of grip socks, any handrail you could bolt to your bathroom wall, is not something you buy, not something you install, and not some new exercise you have to learn at this age? The answer is simpler than all of that. It is what you put on your plate. One small change to something you already do 3 times a day, every single day, and something you are almost certainly getting wrong right now and have been getting wrong for years without a single soul ever telling you. My name is Maria Rose, and I am 112 years old. I live in my own home. I make my own breakfast. I walk to my own mailbox, and I sleep in the same bed I've slept in for longer than most people watching me have been alive. I have never spent a night in a nursing home, and I have never once asked my children to bathe me or feed me or carry the weight of my days. I do not tell you that to boast. I tell you so that you understand. The woman speaking to you has not read about old age in a book. I have lived inside it year after year, longer than almost anyone alive, and that is a very different kind of knowing. So let me tell you about a friend of mine, a proud, sharp woman, sound of mind, who came to me one afternoon, frightened because her legs had begun to give way under her. She said, "Maria, I do not understand it. I eat 3 good meals a day. I have never skipped a meal in my life." And she was right. She had not skipped a single meal. That was exactly the problem, because not one of those meals was feeding the one thing in her body that keeps an old woman on her feet. She was full, and she was growing weaker at the very same time, and nobody had ever told her the difference. That is what I want to change for you today. Right now, before this video is over, I am going to show you what is almost certainly missing from your plate, why its absence is quietly stealing the very strength that holds you upright, and the simple change you can begin at your very next meal. No gym, no gadget, no expensive supplement required to start. Just food, honest food, and a long life's worth of knowing which food matters and which does not. Because the thing that catches you when you stumble, the thing that lifts you out of a chair and carries you up a curb, is not luck, and it is not willpower. It is muscle. And muscle is built, or muscle is lost, by what you put on your plate 3 times a day, beginning with your very next bite. The first thing your muscle needs is protein. I think of protein as the bricks. You cannot keep a house standing without bricks, and you cannot keep your strength standing without protein, especially after 70, when the body needs more of it, not less, to hold its ground. Now, the most loyal friend I've ever had in my kitchen is the egg. An egg is humble. An egg is cheap. And an egg is full of the kind of protein your muscles can actually use, along with the things your body needs to repair itself and stay well. When my hands were younger, I would make myself a vegetable omelette 2 or 3 mornings a week, and I still love it. You take 2 eggs and beat them. You cook a small handful of soft vegetables first, a little spinach until it wilts down, or some mushrooms from a can, drained, because there is no shame in a can when it makes your life easier. You fold the vegetables into the eggs and let it cook gently. A piece of whole grain toast on the side, and you have given your body more in that one plate than any pill could promise you. That is breakfast. That is bricks. When I do not feel like cooking, and at my age I have earned the right not to feel like cooking, I reach for canned fish. Tuna and salmon from a can are a small miracle. They give you quick protein with no fuss. And salmon in particular carries those good fats, the omega-3 kind, that are kind to your heart and your mind. One of my favorite easy suppers is what I call a weekend night tuna burger. You take a can of tuna drained and mix it with a little breadcrumb and 1 egg to hold it together. You shape it into a small patty and warm it gently in a pan with a touch of oil until it holds. Lay it on a soft roll with whatever soft topping you like, a slice of tomato, a bit of lettuce, and there is your supper. No oven to wrestle with, no standing for an hour, protein on a plate in the time it takes the kettle to boil. And then there is chicken and lean meat, which the body leans on to repair itself and to keep what they call frailty at bay. Frailty is just the word for when the body becomes thin and weak and easily knocked over, and good meat is one of the things that holds it off. The dish I make when I want something that will warm me for 2 or 3 days is a one-pot chicken and vegetable stew. Now here is my secret, and it is no secret at all. I buy a rotisserie chicken already cooked from the store and I pull the meat off with my fingers. You can use lean ground beef instead if you prefer, browned in the pot. Then you add a bag of frozen mixed vegetables because frozen vegetables are picked at their best and they cost you nothing in chopping. And you pour in a can of broth and you let the whole thing simmer until everything is very soft and tender and easy to eat. 1 pot, 1 spoon, several days of strength. That is how I do it. Now, bricks are not enough. Bricks need a frame to hold them, and your frame is your bones. After we eat for our muscles, we eat for our bones. Because here is the plain truth. If you do happen to stumble one day, and we all stumble, strong bones are the difference between a scare and a broken hip. And bones are built from 2 things working together, calcium and vitamin D. The calcium is the stone of the bone. The vitamin D is what lets your body actually use that calcium instead of letting it slip right through. For calcium, I turn to dairy, yogurt, cheese, a glass of milk. Many of them are made stronger still with vitamin D added right in, so you get both partners in one go. A little dish I treat myself to in the afternoon is a yogurt berry parfait, and it sounds far fancier than it is. You spoon some plain Greek yogurt into a glass. You scatter on some berries, fresh if you have them, or frozen ones you have let thaw, and you sprinkle a little toasted oats on top for a bit of crunch. It feels like dessert. It is doing the work of medicine. For vitamin D, the richest gift nature gives us is salmon. I told you tuna and salmon serve your muscles, and they do. But salmon does double duty because it is one of the finest natural sources of the very vitamin D your bones are begging for. When I want a proper sit-down meal, I make seared salmon with steamed green beans. You season a salmon fillet with a few herbs, whatever you like, and you cook it in a hot pan for just a few minutes on each side until it flakes. On the side, you steam some green beans until they are soft enough to be gentle on your mouth. It is a meal you would be proud to serve company, and it is feeding your skeleton at the same time. And for the mornings, there are the fortified cereals and grains, and that word fortified simply means they have added good things into them. Often vitamin D and that vitamin B12 that older bodies sometimes run low on without ever knowing it. My standby is a bowl of warm oatmeal with sliced banana. You cook your oats rolled or the quick kind in milk or a fortified soy milk. You lay soft banana slices on top, and if you want to make it stick with you all morning, a small spoon of peanut butter melts into the warmth. It is the breakfast of a child and the breakfast of a wise old woman, and there is no difference between the two. After the bricks and the frame, your body needs one more thing. And this is the part the loud videos love to make complicated. Your nerves and your eyes and your steadiness all depend on the little things hidden inside fruits and vegetables. The vitamins that keep the signals running clean between your brain and your feet, and keep your eyes sharp enough to see the edge of that rug before you catch your toe on it. Eating plenty of colourful produce, fresh or frozen, has long been connected with staying stronger and steadier as we age. I cannot promise you a number, and I would not trust anyone who did. But I can tell you that in a long life, the people I watch stay sharp and stay on their feet were almost always the people with colour on their plates. For your dark leafy greens, your spinach, and your kale, which carry vitamin K and iron, the easiest thing in the world is a berry and spinach smoothie. You put a handful of baby spinach in the blender, you add a cup of frozen berries, you pour in some milk or yogurt, and you blend it until it is smooth. You will not taste the spinach. I promise you what you will get is a glass of goodness that is easy to swallow and easy to digest, which matters more than people think when chewing gets tiring. For your root vegetables, your carrots, and your sweet potatoes, full of the vitamin A that keeps your vision strong. I love a baked sweet potato with cottage cheese, You poke a sweet potato a few times and cook it in the microwave until it is soft all the way through, just a few minutes. You split it open and put a scoop of cottage cheese right on top, which melts in a little and adds calcium to the bargain. It is a whole small meal, and it costs you almost nothing and almost no effort. And for berries, the blackberries and blueberries and all their cousins, which have been linked in study after study with staying resilient as the years pass. I keep it simple with a little fruit and cheese plate. You put out a small handful of soft berries and a few matchbox-sized slices of cheddar or Swiss cheese, and you have a snack that gives you something sweet and something strong at the same time. It is the kind of thing I set out when a grandchild visits, and we share it together. Which brings me to something I will say more about in a moment. Before I do, let me give you a few plain pieces of advice that have nothing to do with any single food and everything to do with staying upright. The first is water. Please drink your water. So many falls in older people begin not with a weak leg, but with a dizzy head. And the dizzy head so often comes from simply not drinking enough. As we age, we stop feeling thirsty the way we used to. So the thirst will not always remind you. You must remind yourself water, herbal teas, and water-rich foods like cucumber and melon throughout the day. A dry body is a dizzy body, and a dizzy body falls. The second is to go easy on alcohol. I am not here to lecture you, and a small glass of something at a celebration is one of the pleasures of being alive. But understand that as we get older, drink clouds the mind and unsteadies the legs far more than it once did. And many a fall has come right after one drink too many. Know that and choose with your eyes open. And the third is to keep a little emergency supply in your pantry for the days you cannot get to the store when the weather is bad or your body says rest. Peanut butter, canned beans, whole grain pasta, the kinds of things that keep for a long time and can become a meal when a meal feels far away. There is a great peace of mind in opening your cupboard on a hard day and knowing you will not go without. Now, I want to say one more thing before I let you go, and this is the part I most want you to hear because it is the part that no video about food will ever tell you. And yet it is the truest thing I know. You can do everything I have said. You can eat your eggs and your salmon, drink your water, fill your plate with color, and I hope you will because it works. But please, please go and ask your own doctor before you change much, because they know your particular body, your particular medicines in a way that no stranger on a screen ever can. And I would never want my words to stand in the place of theirs. I am a woman in a chair sharing what I have learned. They are the ones who can see you. And here is what I believe. After 112 years of watching people grow old well and grow old poorly, I have come to believe that the body and the spirit are partners and that they hold each other up. I cannot tell you that a sad heart causes a sick body. That would be too simple, and life is never that simple. But I can tell you what I have seen with my own eyes. The people who kept a reason to get out of bed kept getting out of bed. The people who tended their spirit found it easier to tend their bodies. And the people who let their spirit go dark and bitter and lonely, I watched their strength go right out behind it, no matter what was on their plate. So nourish your soul the way you nourish your muscle. Keep your faith, whatever shape it takes for you, because faith gives a person something to stand on when the legs are tired. Live honestly, because a clear conscience is a light load to carry, and a heavy one will wear a body down faster than any illness. And above all, think of other people. Do not let yourself shrink down into a small world of just your aches and your worries, because that small world is a cold place to live. I will tell you the secret that has kept me young longer than any food. Help someone, even something as small as a kind word, a bit of good advice to a younger person, a phone call to someone lonelier than you. When you help another soul, even in the smallest way, something happens inside you. You remember that you still matter. You remember that you still have something to give. And that feeling of being needed, of having a purpose, lifts the spirit. And the lifted spirit lifts the body right along with it. I am convinced of it. A person with a reason to be here finds the strength to be here. So that is everything I know, given to you plainly, from one long life to wherever you are sitting right now. Eat for your muscles and your bones. Fill your plate with color. Drink your water and feed your spirit by living honestly, holding your faith and looking after the people around you. You are not too old. It is not too late, and you are not finished. There is still so much good food to eat and so much good to do, and so many people who need exactly the kindness only you can give. Explore this curated list of 10 inspiring quotes that capture the profound meaning of forbearance. 1. The power of restraint. Forbearance is the root of all quietness and assurance forever. Tokugawa Ieyasu, meaning true peace of mind, does not come from controlling your external circumstances. It comes from exercising the self-restraint required to keep your inner world steady during turbulent times. 2. Extending grace. No one thing does human life more need than a kind consideration of the faults of others. Everyone sins. Everyone needs forbearance. Our own imperfections should teach us to be merciful. Henry Ward Beecher. Meaning, because we are all flawed, practicing forbearance allows us to forgive the shortcomings of others, recognizing that we all rely on the patience and grace of those around us. 3. Strength in serenity. Forbearance is a great virtue. There is no other like it. Sri Sri Sarada Devi, meaning, while reacting with anger or retaliation, may feel powerful, in the moment possessing the emotional maturity to bear difficult situations with serene dignity is the ultimate expression of personal power. 4. Cultivating an unshakable mind. You must have great power of endurance. Bear all evil and misery without one thought of unhappiness, resistance, remedy, or retaliation. That is true endurance, and that you must acquire. Swami Vivekananda, meaning forbearance, is about not letting the friction of the world steal your inner joy. It is a commitment to enduring hardships without internalizing the negativity. 5. Learning from the difficult. I took note of the Buddha's teaching that in one sense, a supposed enemy is more valuable than a friend. For an enemy teaches you things such as forbearance that a friend generally does not. Dalai Lama 14th, meaning challenging people and adverse situations force us to develop emotional control. Without these tests of patience, our ability to forbear would never be cultivated. 6. The oil that smooths relationships. Lovers should never be without the oil of forbearance. Mina Antrim, meaning close relationships, will inevitably face friction. Forbearance acts as a lubricant, softening the rough edges of human flaws and misunderstandings to maintain harmony. 7. Concentrated strength. Patience is not passive. On the contrary, it is concentrated strength. Bruce Lee. Meaning forbearing doesn't mean giving up or simply doing nothing. It requires active, intense mental discipline to harness your emotions and refuse to react impulsively. 8. Self-correction. What we can and should change is ourselves, our impatience, our egoism, our lack of love and forbearance. I regard every other attempt to change the world as futile. Hermann Hesse, meaning you cannot control the actions of others, but you can always control your reaction. Forbearing reminds us to focus our energy on improving our own character rather than policing the world. 9. A foundation for society, mutual forbearance and reciprocal concessions. Through their agency, the union was established, Martin van Buren, meaning on a macro level, forbearance is essential for cooperation. Progress and unity are only possible when groups of people are willing to compromise and show restraint for the greater good. 10. Achieving inner purity by practicing patience and forbearance. We will be able to acquire all the other important spiritual qualities. This will bring a state of inner purity and abiding peace. Unknown, meaning mastering forbearance, strips away ego, anxiety, and reactive anger, ultimately paving the way for a deeply peaceful and centered existence. I am Maria Rose. I am 112 years old, and I am still here. And I believe with my whole heart that you can stay strong and steady and free for a great deal longer than anyone has told you. Go gently, eat well, love your people, and I will see you again soon.